I know she will bring to the demands of her new role the steadfast devotion to duty on which I have come to rely so much. Real-life families, and you know the actually what's going on in the community, and it must be really challenging. Windsor becomes the scene of an extraordinary moment and tensions are high throughout Britain. The nation is stunned when Catherine and William ascend to the throne as king and queen rather than as heirs, ill-prepared for this abrupt change. There are rumors that King Charles's health is precarious. Some discern a deliberate reset of the crown itself, while others point to pressing decisions made behind the scenes. Allies look on in shock, crowds gasp, and senior royals exchange nervous looks. What then actually made this moment in history? Stay with us because everything will change in the next moment. The moment when the crown was silently passed did not come with thunder or trumpets, but rather with words that had significance that extended well beyond Westminster Abbey's vaulted roof. Many now consider the Archbold of Canterbury's blessing to be the real turning moment of the modern monarchy. Given beneath the same arches where King Charles had been crowned only 2 years previously, his message was straightforward but impactful. The throne had evolved from a birthright to a duty for those who were prepared to assume it. The meaning hit the kingdom with lightning speed. The picture that cemented the day in history then appeared, steady and unflappable princess, and assumed the role of custodian of royal duty. She was holding a recently ordered queen consort's crown made by Gerard and Company. Since 1735, the monarchy has been associated with the royal jeweler. The crown, which was set with diamonds, sapphires, and Burmese rubies from Queen Elizabeth II's personal collection, spoke of continuity and gained confidence rather than show. 2 versions were later confirmed by palace authorities. For significant state events, a heavier crown is kept at the Tower of London, and for instances like these, a lighter ceremonial replica is made. As the Abbey bells echoed throughout London, Catherine only wore the lighter crown for a short time. However, that brief encounter changed the country's perception of her. Her serene, even melancholy poise was observed by onlookers. She wasn't only taking a sign, she was taking on a responsibility. The public may see the change in a matter of hours. Following the benediction, William and Catherine made their first appearance at Windsor Castle. The streets were crowded with thousands of people holding flowers and waving flags, many of them sporting handcrafted badges that read, "For the future, William and Catherine." They were no longer only acting as heirs, but as the active heart of the monarchy. While Catherine, wearing the lesser crown and a dove-gray coat, approached people with quiet assurance, William moved with a combination of warmth and constraint. Kids handed her folded notes. Leaning forward, an old veteran said, "God bless the new queen." Her response, "God bless the king," was equally telling. Palace aides behind the scenes used their words carefully. They emphasized that this was not a regency. Co-stewardship was involved. Daily royal responsibilities had been formally transferred to King Charles III, who is currently recuperating at Sandringham under medical supervision. Even though the titles had only recently caught up, the authority had changed. The moment was heightened by one absence. Queen Camilla chose to stay at Ramel House for what some have referred to as private introspection. Therefore, she did not attend. One analyst noted that although Westminster signaled a new spirit, Windsor demonstrated who now possessed it, sparking a quiet debate about her choice. The public responded quickly. #celebrating Catherine, Princess Anne, and what many referred to as a return to duty-led monarchy swept social media. According to a YouGov poll, 84% of British people thought the changeover was sensible and timely. Approval ratings for Catherine reached their greatest point since 2022. A single picture of Catherine bowing to Princess Anne as the crown was presented captured the attention of the entire world. According to CNN, it was the decade's most iconic royal image. William stopped by the memorial oak honoring King Charles II. As dusk descended on Windsor and laid a child's bouquet at its base, Catherine kept a careful eye on things. Loyalty and leadership met in that understated gesture, and the day's true twist emerged. The monarchy had changed without waiting for a coronation. It was already gone, and the nation was following suit. What then do you believe caused this covert power shift? Is it a deliberate move, duty, or fate? Who is actually in charge now? Keep an eye out. The crowd witnessed assurance, solidarity, and purpose when the palace axis changed as William and Catherine headed back toward the castle gates after giving one more serene wave. It appeared to be a stately conclusion to a momentous day to the spectators outside Windsor. However, things were much more tense within Buckingham Palace. The pictures of Princess Anne giving Catherine the Gerard crown under Westminster's historic arches, which were already making the rounds, were being examined as signals rather than symbols. Within the walls of the palace, what had seemed ceremonial to the country felt dangerously near to succession. Queen Camilla was at the core of that silent conflict. According to official sources, she briefly resigned to help King Charles III recover in Sandringham under medical supervision. She cited a time of introspection at Ramel House as the reason for her absence from the Abbey blessing and the Windsor walkabout. However, not everyone in the system thought it was that easy. People in her immediate vicinity hinted that something more profound was taking place. They said that history was being written without her. According to reports, Camilla observed Ray Mills' service. Later, one confidant revealed that while Princess Anne's remarks moved her, what came next left her feeling uneasy. Anne's function was declaratory rather than merely ceremonial. She formally confirmed the new location of the monarchy's moral authority by placing the crown on Catherine's head. That symbolism became structured in a matter of days. Palace protocols started to change subtly but firmly. The Royal Communications Unit's reporting structures were changed. Teams that previously reported to both Clarence House and Buckingham Palace now worked directly for the Prince and Princess of Wales. Experienced royal observers referred to the action as something different despite officials characterizing it as temporary. The earthquake was completely constitutional. It was said that King Charles, who is still sleeping at Sandringham, gave his approval to the modifications. According to insiders, Princess Anne was the one who pushed him to take action by assuring him that history would not wait for doubt. One source remembered exactly what she said. "Charles, you can relax, they're prepared." Within royal circles, that phrase immediately gained popularity. Catherine's itinerary changed to reflect the blessing within 48 hours of it happening. At Kensington Palace, she threw a casual luncheon for Commonwealth youth ambassadors. There were only discussions about education, opportunity, and innovation. No fanfare, no carriages, and no crowns. There was no mistaking the message. The leadership process has already started. There was a global response. Her composed authority was hailed by British newspapers. Her work was cited by international media as proof that a monarchy has regained its moral compass, but there was still a sense of anxiety throughout the palace. Days after the blessing, Fiona Shelburne, Camilla's private secretary, quit, citing reorganization. Employees who had previously been faithful to Clarence House were moved to Kensington. According to a former aide, it was confusing since it felt like the ground was shifting under everyone's feet. Princess Anne was a constant throughout it all. She brought information and reaffirmed unity to the king during her 2 visits that week. She responded with her usual candor when asked if the alterations were permanent. The crown awaits bravery rather than consolation. The statement took center stage in headlines and emphasized the difference between Camilla's quiet and Anne's direct leadership. There were soon whispers. Some historians started discussing a dual monarchy in practice, if not in name, when Catherine led state-facing engagements and William chaired monthly Privy Council sessions. Yes, it is unprecedented, but it is not impossible. And the truth that was developing behind the palace doors was harder to deny every day. And with William and Catherine sharing invisible authority, is the British monarchy subtly changing. What is meant by this covert dual reign hold on tight when a blessing turned into a power shift? Many were quick to point out that a blessing is not the same as a coronation. However, in terms of religion and custom, a blessing lays the foundation for what must ultimately come. Many others perceived the well-chosen words spoken in Westminster Abbey to mean more than just spiritual consolation. They appeared to the general public as a tacit affirmation that new leadership had already taken over the throne's future. Catherine seemed to move with a confidence that didn't require any announcements in the days that followed. Images surfaced showing her leaving Westminster Abbey for an unexpected visit to a children's hospice rather than for a formal engagement. No cameras were invited and no advance notice was given. She and Princess Anne will co-preside over the Commonwealth Youth Forum, the palace said later that day. Commentators started pointing out a clear contrast. Despite her position as queen, Camilla was not seen or heard. Wherever responsibility felt most human, Catherine, a queen by presence, showed up. King Charles II's closest associates maintained that the change was made with resolution rather than bitterness. One seasoned servant recalled a private exchange between Princess Anne and the monarch, during which Charles mutely remarked, "Let her shine. Your mother would have preferred that." There was more to that sentiment than that. Once fragile and shared, authority was now settling with clarity. William and Catherine encountered local volunteers who had helped the estate during the king's recent health retreat during a symbolic stroll in the Sandringham Gardens, bringing that truth to light. As their motorcade approached, the NOFK grounds were bathed in a warm glow from the afternoon sun. King Charles, who was recuperating under medical supervision, was welcomed with soft cheers and the flutter of Union Jack flags, but was felt in more subdued ways. The route was bordered by white roses. In the distance, parish bells sounded quietly. This was stewardship in action, not a farewell. In a conscious display of solidarity and purpose, William and Catherine went out together, wearing simple navy. There were only two persons strolling down a route the Queen Elizabeth II had once known, with no elaborate vehicle or ceremonial flair. They frequently stopped and smiled spontaneously in recognition of the audience. What started off as a friendly visit swiftly became more. An elderly gardener who had been caring for the grounds for more than 50 years approached Catherine on her knees. He said prayers for the king and presented her with a little bouquet of white lilies. Taking his hand, she said softly, "He feels your prayers every day." Young scouts nearby heard William say, "The best service is the kind done when no one's watching." The scene was well captured by the cameras. They were no longer waiting to reign, they were all ready. Princess Anne and senior assistants, whose influence had subtly influenced every stage of the changeover, attended the private reception that took place within the main hall. She spoke briefly but sharply as she raised a glass. She stated that the crown is not a gift, it's a relay. Afterwards, Catherine admitted that Anne's leadership had kept them steady during their transition. And so, without a coronation, without a proclamation, the crown found new hands, not through ceremony but through responsibility, not through inheritance alone but through readiness. What the nation witnessed at Windsor was not an ending, it was a transition, a monarchy adjusting itself to the moment, quietly, deliberately, and perhaps permanently. William and Catherine did not claim power. Power simply began to move with them. The question now is not if the monarchy has changed, but how far this change will go. Will this dual stewardship remain temporary, or has Britain already stepped into a new royal era? One thing is certain, history didn't wait, and neither did the crown. Stay with us, because the next chapter of the monarchy is already being written, and the world is watching.